Well, this video is a bit late and a bit overdue, isn't it? Hey, so, it's been a while since we've done something like this, I know. I wanted to do a lot more things, but at the end of the day, I didn't do them, and that's my own fault. And starting with this video, since I'm recording something right now, I'm going to try to be better about it, guys. But, let's just kind of get to the main topic of the video, shall we? So, UnOrdinary Season 3, the final season, is right around the corner, and you guys know what that means. New season, UnOrdinary coming back, means new key art from Uru herself. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to take a look at the new key art that has been posted by Uru-chan to promote the upcoming season, which comes out in about a week and a half at this point now, July 30th. So, yeah, let's talk about it, and let me give you guys my thoughts on what this art is going to mean and tease for the rest of the season. So we have the main art right here, and as you can see, there is quite a bit going on in this piece itself. Obviously, we have the remaining ones. This title bestowed upon John, Sarah, Remy, and Ison was originally dubbed by Osiris on Instagram from some art that they posted. So that's what I'm kind of going to be referring to when referring to this quartet we have here. So we have the remaining ones kind of up in center, kind of focused, obviously using their abilities. But we have Blake obviously getting treated or getting interrogated by Keon, having memory recall used on him. And then, of course, we have Arlo and Valerie. So I think this can imply that these are very important characters we are going to be dealing with this season, Valerie included. And I think this can also, I think we can kind of also make assumptions about what storylines we are going to see from this art itself. So now that we've seen the art piece itself, let's kind of break down each individual character, each individual section of this piece, and kind of craft together what we can expect coming from Season 3. So, obviously one of the big factors of this Season 3 art piece is the remaining ones, John, Sarah, Remy, and Ison. It's really weird not saying Arlo and Blake in their respective parts of the order of the characters, but as we can see, we have the remaining ones front and center, with Remy obviously sporting a new haircut. It seems like her hair is a bit shorter and she's kind of rocking a little, like, a ponytail in the back. So, a little different from what we've seen. It looks like Remy has taken a page out of John's book and going with a haircut. Sarah is also sporting her ponytail, which we have seen her take quite a few times throughout the series, especially back before her and John were friends. She's next to Remy, and John is in the back. Now, like I said, all are seemingly fighting something and using their abilities. And another key thing that I noticed about this in particular, Ison is actively seen in combat, which, based on other previous kind of like promotional arts that Uru has done, he's kind of always been shown to be a backline player, you know, kind of staying on comms, looking into things, you know, stuff like that. Now, I do think that this is a real indicator that Ison will obviously be taking a much more frontline position than he's used to. He kind of has to step up right now because his best friend and Arlo are they don't know what's really happened to them right now. So Ison is going to have to kind of be on the front lines a bit more. And I think based on this, we're going to see a lot more Ison action this season as well. Like actual action. So there is that. Another thing to note about this is that almost everyone in the art looks tired. Blake, clearly from his interrogation from Keon that is given him, we can see he's a bit roughed up. I think for the others, like John, Remy, and Ison, I think their current situation is just still taking its toll on their mental and their emotional well-being. Remy seems to be less worn out than John and Ison do. She just kind of has the dark circles under his eyes, where Ison and John, Uru has seemed to give specifically to give them bags under their eyes as well. I do think that this could be an indication that we're going to see a bit of a darker, a more on edge Remy, just because she left Blake and Arlo behind, two people she deeply cares about, which was a choice she did not want to make, and clearly that had a big impact on her. We saw how heartbroken she was when she ultimately had to leave with Ison without Blake and Arlo in tow as well. So, makes sense. I think John obviously has been going through a lot already, so it makes sense that he still is also a bit stressed out, has the dark circles, the bags under his eyes, and of course, Ison, going back to what I said about him being on the front lines more, he could be wearing himself out a bit more than he's used to, which could also be an indicator as to why he's tired, and that's going to tie into another thing about Remy and Ison that we're going to touch on in a bit. So, one thing though, Sarah seems to be the only character in this piece that is still somewhat composed based on her face. Everyone is clearly upset, everyone's a bit more fierce, and while Sarah's like eyebrows are kind of like in the frown position, Sarah herself seems to be more in her calm, usual, determined demeanor. So I think that this is going to imply that Sarah may be the one to look after and keep everyone in check. She's probably going to kind of be the quote-unquote mother figure of the season, at least the first half. She may be the one to just kind of be like, guys, like, let's relax, let's think about this, let's think about our next steps. I think that since she is the only one not tired, which she did have heavy circles, she did have dark circles on her eyes in the season 2 finale. I think that Sarah is going to be kind of the center of the group right now. I think she's going to be the one to kind of just be like, hey, we all need to take a break. So that's that. Now, speaking of Sarah, if you were paying attention to the art piece, Sarah has new gears. There are two designs in particular that stand out, and there's one that kind of looks new based on like what I could find of like her using her ability in the past. I'm pretty sure that one has been used in the past, but it might also be new. But there are two in particular that kind of sort of resemble Ison's targets. They're a gear icon, but they have kind of like what looks kind of like they're like circling in on something. And they're two because one has the square center and the other has a more circular one. Now, I do think that we are going to be seeing something new from Sarah, but it could just also be Uru having fun with like how she's going to be drawing and using Sarah's powers more. Kind of like how Sarah's also used to have green gears as well. I still think that the green gears could be a different function of time manipulation, but we'll have to wait and see. But another thing that this could potentially be, maybe Cameron's been training John a little bit to use their ability a lot more ways. Maybe John has kind of linked up Sarah and Ison. Maybe the gear icons are actually homing gears. Maybe Sarah has access to Ison's ability for a bit or something like that. Who knows? Could be. But the new gears is definitely something I'm very interested about. I hope that it's something new with Sarah's ability, not just Uru having fun. But let's talk about the fashion in this among the remaining ones now. Sarah seems to be sporting her more formal wear like she did during the Spectre meetings and stuff like that. She's got the nice suit and kind of like a formal tank top, it looks like. We can clearly see like her arm skin and everything. So I guess, yeah, it's like a formal tank top from what I could tell. Now, John is right behind Sarah, and though he's not fully facing the camera, we can clearly see that he's charging up some black lightning and ready for a fight as we kind of see him doing the pose that he normally does. So I do think that this art is explicitly referencing and teasing a fight that we will see in the first half of season 3. Now, talking about the fashion, John seems to be rocking kind of a black collared shirt with the sleeves kind of rolled up to about his elbow. It doesn't really resemble John's typical casual wear, so what I'm thinking is maybe Cameron is dressing him up, telling him like, hey, no nephew of mine's gonna be dressing like some peasant. Like, absolutely not. Like, put here, like, I'm gonna teach you how to dress properly. Or we know that Sarah loves fashion. Sarah could be like, John, no, I'm not going out with you like that. So yeah, I think it's more likely that Cameron is dressing John up and kind of providing John with some new clothes and everything, especially if John needs to be kind of more in disguise when he's going out with Cameron, but we can talk about that another time. So since he is in the background of the remaining ones, I kind of want to brush on this real quick. He's in the background. He's definitely not the front and center of the group. I do think that we will focus on John the least for a bit in season 3, because he's not the forefront character in this art piece. In my opinion, it kind of seems like Remy and Ison are, but Sarah is definitely like right next to Remy, so it could imply that Sarah and Remy are the focal points of the first half of season 3. But in my opinion, it kind of seems like Uru is pushing Remy and Ison a bit heavier from what my initial reaction to the poster was. So there is that. Now let's head back to Remy and Ison. Remy and Ison are definitely wearing more casual clothes, hoodies specifically. Now, Sarah mentioned in the finale that they were in hiding after they met up, after they got in contact with Cameron to get John. So I do think that for at least the start of season 3, the two duos, John and Sarah and Remy and Ison, won't be with each other, because when you think about it, it kind of makes sense. John has Cameron who's being looked after, and we know that Cameron and their family, because of their power, they kind of have some pull when it comes to telling the authorities, hey, screw off, we don't have to listen to you. So Cameron is taking care of John. Sarah is being protected by Neil and Spectre, Layla, and Doc. They are supposedly in a part of the country that Neil is kind of looking after with Spectre. So there's that. It's kind of so there's that. Neil's taking care of Sarah, but Remy and Ison have no protection, so to speak, like John and Sarah do. Now, again, let's talk about this. Kuyo. Kuyo is also on the run, so I do think it's very likely possible that Kuyo, Remy, and Ison, along with Grayson maybe, are definitely kind of on the run from the authorities. Also, depending on where Grayson's hideout is, Remy and Ison could very well be much closer to Wellston than John and Sarah are. So I think for the time being, again, I think John and Sarah are kind of going to be out in public a little bit more, because Sarah did mention at the end of season 2, the authorities aren't as active. They're not watching this part of the country as much as they were back at Wellston. So I think John and Sarah are going to be out and about a little bit more. Definitely they're going to want to be careful because they are two wanted criminals. Remy and Ison and Kuyo, though, are wanted criminals because they are superheroes that the authorities are actively looking to take down, especially since Blake is in custody. So I definitely think that Kuyo is looking out for Remy and Ison. They're probably training up a little bit with Kuyo, but I think they need to hide a lot more than John and Sarah do, especially based on the outfits that they're rocking in this art. So let's go back and touch on the lightning real quick, because the style seems to be different and more closely resemble lightning. The way the lightning looked in the past, I definitely kind of was it. Like, I could tell it was lightning because Uru said it was lightning, but it, in my opinion, didn't really resemble lightning. I think the way the lightning looks right now kind of reminds me a bit more of how it looks in projects like from DC Comics or Avatar: The Last Airbender with lightning bending. I think it looks like actual lightning now. I don't think that this is a level game. Like I said, like I pointed out in Season 2, Remy's lightning started to look stronger, so I think that heavily implied that she got a level up. This time, I am simply saying, I think Uru was kind of thinking like, hey, maybe I should change up how the lightning looks a little bit more, kind of stuff like that. So John and Remy's lightning now kind of resembles actual lightning. I just think it's a stylistic change that Uru is making. Now, with Aisin, there isn't much to talk about. However, I do want to kind of talk about a little potential theory right now. Now, like I said, Aisin is in the front lines right now, so he's clearly going to be getting a lot of experience fighting. He kind of has to, like, Blake's not around. Kuyo, like, they're going to need help. So I definitely think it's possible that Aisin will definitely kind of be on the sidelines a little bit, but I think Aisin's going to be fighting a lot more this time, especially with Remy wanting to set up kind of a Justice League, so to speak. So Aisin clearly going to be getting a lot of experience. I think it's very likely that Aisin will get a level up again and catch up to Blake before we see any other major developments from the others, aside from John, because I think it's very likely that Cameron is going to be training John up with their abilities. So I think that, again, barring John, I think that Aisin is definitely the next candidate that we're going to see a level up from. I think we're going to see Aisin definitely become high tier this season. That way we will have the high tier trio and the god tier trio. So, yeah. So, now let's talk about Blake. We clearly see that he is damaged and worn out, most likely from being interrogated by Keon. So, potentially may also be some prison roughhousing, you know, kind of like, we definitely see that, like, they're definitely, like, not in individual cells. So, his eyes are glowing. Again, he's clearly being interrogated. They're using memory recall on him in the art. And he also has the same bleeding forehead that John had when he went through the rehabilitation facility, or the readjustment facility. Again, probably another head desk slam. So Blake is clearly exhausted, more so than everyone else. Again, we have seen what these types of readjustments can do to people like Keen, like John especially. So I think it will be very interesting to see what potentially Keon is digging into there, but we're going to have to wait and see. So Blake roughed up, and I think based on what we see, I have a few ideas of what he can be seeing, but I'll save that for another video that you're going to be getting soon. Now, what we've all been waiting for. Arlo. Arlo is the only character in this art piece whose face we cannot see. Arlo is facing directly away from us, overlooking a city with Valerie. Now, quick guess. Could Arlo also be tired or have his face worn out because his mind was altered with? Who knows? Byron is someone who obviously always looks tired, unlike Farah and Valerie. So I'm very curious to see kind of what Arlo's demeanor is like now that his memories have been altered with. I definitely think we're going to see much more Aslo, kind of like we did at the beginning of the series, but he's in his work outfit, so I definitely think that this art piece implies that he's under Valerie, or this could be an altered memory from Farah, because Farah's ability is hypnosis, not memory erasing, not anything like that. Arlo is under hypnosis right now. Now, I do also think maybe because he's under hypnosis, maybe we will see Arlo have different eyes, like people who are under Oren's control, when something that goes against their commandments and the control has to take over, like with Kaden. I'm very curious. It seems like Uru wants to hide Arlo's face for something. Now, that is kind of the main art piece itself. Clearly, we're going to get a fight with the quartet. We're clearly going to see John gets Black. We're going to see John and Remy fighting something together. Again, like I said, this could be all 4 of them fighting something. This could be all 4 of them breaking Ison out of jail. This could be all 4 of them against Arlo trying to not hurt him. But we're going to have to wait and see. We see Blake, he is hanging in there, but it is obviously rough for him. And then last but not least, we have Arlo with Valerie. So a lot of potential storylines that we're going to see just based on this art alone. And I think that Uru has really outdone herself like she always does. This art piece is phenomenal. Now, one thing I want to talk about, I want to theory craft a little bit with this art piece, because the character positioning in this piece kind of has me thinking of a few things. The 2 closest characters to Arlo in this piece are John and Remy. Obviously, that would lead that the 2 closest to Blake are Sarah and Ison. Now, again, this is just, I'm tossing this out there. I do think that this could mean that these pairings may be what lead the respective characters to being rescued. Remy is closest with Arlo out of everyone in the group. She and Arlo are very securely attached because of Ray. And then John and Arlo also kind of had this little kind of buddy duo between the 2 of them towards the end of season 2, where they were both kind of like, hey, like, what do you think's going on? Hey, blah, blah, blah. Like, Arlo and John were starting to spend a bit more time together at the end of season 2. But yes, now, Ison is Blake's best friend, and Sarah is the one who decided that Blake was going to become a royal in the first place because she trusts him. So I think it's maybe we're going to see Remy and John team up, go save Arlo. Sarah and Ison team up, go save Blake. Now, this could also work because of evening out the teams. We have a god tier and a high tier, and we have a stronger god tier and an elite tier. Could absolutely be wrong. Probably is wrong, but just something that I thought of when looking at this poster and kind of thinking it over a little bit. And, you know, could lead to more cool, like, Remy and John moments. I really loved the moments that we got at the end of season 2 after William passed away. And kind of Sarah and Ison dynamic is kind of interesting to look at. I don't think we've gotten a lot of stuff with them before, so that could be cool. But that's, like I said, just kind of a thought I had. I think it's very likely that first everyone goes to save Blake, then everyone goes to save Arlo. This is gonna sound crazy. I think rescuing Blake is going to be a lot easier than getting Arlo back, because they also have to worry about the hypnosis he's under right now. They have to worry about how they can get rid of what Farah did to him. So that is my breakdown and analysis of the key art for season 3. Again, really love this piece. Uru, you did an amazing job as well. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. We're going to be back really soon with more UnOrdinary. And of course, like I said, we got the double feature on Wednesdays with Jungle Juice and UnOrdinary. So, for the time being though, let me know what you guys think about the art down below. Any potential storylines you think are going to be coming up just based on this art alone. And yeah, that's going to be it. So, as always, everyone, see you, Space Cowboy.